Hello, I'm Will Leggetter.
Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers. I'm looking at the Oscars for later on. I didn't know Randy Newman did the music for Princess and the Frog.
Really?
I love Randy. But what a movie that Randy Newman didn't do the music for is Sherlock Holmes.
I have a request. Someone I want to see. Sherlock Holmes. Mr. Holmes, you must widen your gaze. You underestimate the gravity of coming events. Tomorrow, at midday, the world as you know it will end.
Well, there isn't any time to waste then, is there?
The witness stated that he saw Lord Blackwood rise from the grave.
I want you to find him and stop him.
That'll take every ounce of my not inconsiderable experience.
This may be a hobby to you, Mr. Holmes, but I do it for a living.
It does make a considerable difference to me, having someone with me on whom I can thoroughly rely.
Always nice to see you, Watson.
Well, we're in the midst of your big block, your pseudo farewell. You get to pick whatever you want. In your top 10 of all time, at number 4 is next week's movie, Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. And so what better than to do the first film first?
I mean, it makes sense.
You've never complained about my methods before?
I never complain. When do I complain about you practicing the violin at 3 in the morning? Or your mess? Your general lack of hygiene, or the fact that you steal my clothes?
Be a lady?
Holmes, does your depravity know no bounds?
No.
Just makes sense. How big is the gap between your love of Game of Shadows and 2009 Sherlock Holmes?
I'd say it's quite large when you consider all the other movies in between. But I still think they are both two wonderful movies.
Watson, what have you done? Madam, I need you to remain calm. And trust me, I'm a professional. But beneath this pillow lies the key to my release.
But I think we're in agreement that the second movie is the better one.
Infinitely so, yeah.
Yeah.
I have not major issues, but I have big things that annoy me with this. And the overall vibe, excellent casting, very enjoyable writing, and great direction from Guy Ritchie, actually, makes this enjoyable and sort of lets me forget about certain things. We will get to that as we go. Let's start with Guy Ritchie.
Yes.
Let's start with Guy Ritchie. What's your relationship with Guy Ritchie, Will? Because I love Snatch.
Adore Lock, Stock.
Yeah, I've always been a Snatch guy over Lock, Stock. Are you the opposite?
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm Snatch. You like Dags?
You like Dags? Yeah, I literally.
Oh, Dags? What the fuck's he on?
I think I watched Snatch like a couple of months back, and I was surprised by how much I just knew every single beat and line because I'd watched it so much as a kid, and B, just surprised by how excellently it's aged. There's none of that, because so many of those, like Lock, Stock, for me, it's cringy, like, oh, 90s gangster, oh, I'm a 90s British gangster. Yeah. And we'll get to this in a minute, but whereas Snatch just has aged like a fine wine.
I'm also a big rock and roller fan.
Yes, I think there's a big rock and roller sort of resurgence because it sort of got swept up. Sort of people were like, "Oh, he's trying to do Snatch again. Oh, it's shit." But now people are liking rock and roll. I like rock and roller too. He directed a couple of Madonna videos when he was having it off with her. He directed.
Didn't he get lucky to get away from that? He did.
Well, I don't know. Dating Madonna in the early 2000s,
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anybody would say
she's gone a bit wappy nowadays.
She's wacky Madonna.
I hope she's well.
Then there's Revolver, which is like the big bomb, which was like this is like the big failure. That's Jason Statham, Ray Liotta. Rock and Roller, and then both Sherlock Holmes back to back, 2009, 2011, and then I remember watching Game of Shadows. Oh no, actually, I remember watching Sherlock Holmes, and they'd already announced the sequel.
Yeah.
And me and my mum getting so excited because we thought that Brad Pitt was going to be Moriarty.
Oh.
Because we'll get to this in fun facts. When it was released, it wasn't Jared Harris's voice. It was unknown actor because they hadn't cast it yet. And so Moriarty was this. And now for the DVDs, re-releases, TV releases, Sky Movies, they've gone in and Jared's, because obviously it's very noticeable that it's Jared Harris's voice.
Yeah,
in the carriage and stuff like that. So we thought Brad Pitt because we thought Snatch, and that was like a big rumor. Now, I don't think it would have been better with Brad Pitt. I love Jared Harris, as and Will also now loves Jared Harris beyond Moriarty because he also knows him as Price.
I've also just started The Crown. He does an excellent job.
Oh yes, is he in? Forget by what? Everybody's in The Crown. But this is the thing. We're talking about this now. We're recording this. You know, the schedule's always out of flux because of our own personal stuff. But at current, Sherlock Holmes 3 is happening.
It is. Well, I mean, Robert can finally. He's got the time to do it. Now he's died.
So
now Iron Man died.
And it's not going to be directed by Guy Ritchie. It's going to be directed by Dexter Fletcher, who did Rocket Man and did, I think it was, no, that was Matthew Vaughn. I always get Matthew Vaughn and Dexter Fletcher confused. But he's doing that. Downey Jr. is back. On the IMDb, it says that Moriarty's back. We'll get to that in the next episode.
Well, I mean, do we know that he died? Because we know. Well, I mean, if all we know is that Sherlock survived because he had the canister.
Because he had the. And also, let's be honest, maybe that can help you breathe a little underwater.
Yeah, but
don't think it's saving you.
I do think we deserve a bit of explanation in the third film about what happened there. Maybe it's flashbacks or something like that.
Do you remember? This was my big problem with the Sherlock as a TV. Oh no, I'm going to put a pin in that. We're going to finish on Guy Ritchie. Wow, and then we go. Matron. This is Guy Ritchie's past 5 years because he's been knocking them out. And for me, it's like a serious downward spiral. Love Man from U.N.C.L.E. Where's I mean, we're not going to get a Man from U.N.C.L.E. resurgence now because it turns out that Armie Hammer may very well be a deeply, deeply disturbed individual. But so we're not going to get the Man from U.N.C.L.E. resurgence. But I think it does deserve it. I very much enjoyed Man from U.N.C.L.E. Very enjoyable. King Arthur was dreadful. Did you like King Arthur, Will? David Beckham, wasn't he? Yes. Hated Aladdin as well. Did you like Aladdin?
I thought Aladdin was fine. I mean, well, I just love Aladdin, so I think
in your life, though, are you ever going to put on 2019 Aladdin over Aladdin?
No,
that's my big thing with all these remakes. Like, there's just no possibility in my head. Now I'm clear.
But you loved Beauty and the Beast.
Famously true. I love Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is not only one of the most perfect movies ever made, it's one of my favorites. Love Beauty and the Beast. Absolutely sensational. One of my most watched Blu-rays. I couldn't stand. Well, no. Anyway, I say we'll do an episode on it. We never shall. We will definitely do Beauty and the Beast. One of the best ones ever. The Gentleman. Did you watch The Gentleman, Will? Jesus Christ. Do not watch The Gentleman.
Oh, all right, okay.
And that's the end of that. Now, second port of call before we move on to the actual film, Sherlock, which starts in 2010. Now, I think it was like 2010, 2000 whatever period, Sherlock Holmes goes into lose the rights, go into public domain, because we also got Elementary. Did you ever watch any Elementary, Will?
No.
John Lee Miller and Lucy Liu. And where did you drop off on Sherlock?
I've done series 1.
Only done series 1?
Yeah. No, what I started it with Becky and then never finished it.
All right.
But yeah, I got to the bit where he's like, "Oh, welcome to my swimming pool."
Right, that's what you were quoting. Yes, very good. Every season of Sherlock ends with an absolutely incredible cliffhanger that there is no feasible way that they can pay off. And so the first episode of each season is atrocious because they either just give up and are like, "Oh, do you remember the swimming pool? Let's not talk about that." Or, well, it's bad. First season's great. Second season's also great. Then third season, you've seen some cracks and you're like, "Oh no, oh no." And then the fourth season was absolutely abysmal, was just wanky, was just, "Oh my God, we're so incredible. Look at this. I'm going to so many different tricks." Like Dracula that Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat also did.
I mean, I'll blame Stephen Moffat. We love Mark.
We do love Mark. That got COVIDed. A Mark Gatiss play with that Reese was going to star in. Very sad. Maybe by this time it'll have fully been on and been reviewed.
And I think one other point of call, just to mention, is I believe it was yesterday, announced Enola Holmes 2.
And the less said about that. Did you watch Enola Holmes, Will?
I did.
Did you like Enola Holmes, Will?
It was really bad. Really bad.
Bad movie. Oh, really? I'm just a little girl. I'm not a girl. I'm a detective. Oh, what are they going to do? Ooh. I did not enjoy it.
Are you quoting Wuthering Heist?
That episode will have come out by now as well. YouTube comments. This is a comment from 11 years ago. I can't wait till it comes out. I'm glad they added some action to the story, which we'll get to in one-star review corner. Lots of diehard Sherlock Holmes fans do not enjoy the action in this movie. I saw this movie with a co-worker recently. Are we all ready for some homophobia? I saw this movie with a co-worker recently. When we got to the part when he was chained in bed, I was like, "I remember this from the commercial." And he was like, "The only thing you picked up on was a gay naked man." Nice bit of... Don't know where the joke is there. Do they think that Sherlock Holmes is gay because he's clever and dresses nice? I don't understand this is. That was from The Greatest Commenter, which I think might be wrong. A reinterpretation of The Great Detective. It's about bloody time. This is from, again, 11 years ago. They will be very excited with the next 5 years. 11 years ago again. I want to see this so badly. I like how they put a little comedy within the action. It's all very happening. One-star review corner. A very simple and boring plot. Many people complain about the plot being confusing, but I found it very simple. Two ninjas, Sherlock and Watson, have a fight each 5 minutes of the film. In between, they try to solve the case of Count Dracula. Wow. Number 1, 1 out of 10. Guy Ritchie takes great ingredients and bakes a turd pie. Spoiler alert! Holmes' trademark summing up an explanation at the end is perhaps the one enjoyable scene in the film, but is ruined by the constant foreshadowing of sequels to come, which we will get to. Oh no, I'll just say it now. I like talking about Moriarty. Do not enjoy. A storm's coming. Bit much. My God, if I were a supercomputer built to ruin Sherlock Holmes, I could not have done a better job. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle came back to life just to die again of embarrassment. Maybe if anyone in Hollywood ever bothered to read the source material, that like tragedies like this would happen less.
He's no Basil Rathbone.
Will, do you want to know what the title of this next review is?
I'd love to know.
Basil Rathbone must be turning in his grave. What the hell Jude Law was doing in this load of tripe, I will never know. And Guy, if you cannot come up with a feasible plot and have it ham it up, it has to be funny, and your villains have to make you scared. My 8-year-old granddaughter was more frightened of Mrs. Tweedy in Chicken Run than she was by Lord Blackwood in this overbaked pad of codswallop.
I mean, I agree. Mrs. Tweedy is terrifying.
Chicken pies, you.
You great lummox.
I don't know if it's been announced yet, but Will, do you want to tell us now what the fortnight is at the end of this block?
What is it?
Aardman.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. Sorry, we're doing Aardman at the end of this block for a fortnight, but we've already done Chicken Run, so we can't.
Yeah. But there's plenty.
Have you seen my dad?
Let's get into the meat and veg of the film. Don't like that. 10-minute stretch. Will, kick us off.
So I've gone for 3 specific 10-minute stretches.
Okay, let's see if we cross.
I've gone that stretch where we meet Irene, and then he then does the whole disguise chase to the carriage. That's great.
Yeah, that's a good scene. Yeah.
I've gone for the harbour fight.
Great fight, great explosion. Yeah.
And I've also gone for Tower Bridge
finale. Yes, very good finale. Well, let's talk about Irene now. You famously love Rachel McAdams as well. I also like Rachel McAdams. I think she's great in Spotlight and Midnight in Paris and About Time. Previous guest, Ava Robinson, likes these movies, hates Rachel McAdams in them, doesn't like Irene at all.
I would agree.
Oh, right. Okay, then tell me about this.
Is she doing an English accent?
No, she's doing American.
Okay, right. Well, that's one tick. Yeah, I don't think the character is written well, or the character is utilised enough. Irene, I think Rachel's fine, but I don't think she's got enough to do.
It does feel like she should have gotten away on the train. Yeah,
and then all of a sudden she gets at the final she's wasted in the Tower Bridge. Like, I'm gonna get.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, and then I'll never forgive Guy Ritchie for what he did to her in the Game of Shadows.
Love it. We're gonna get to that. Absolutely incredible. Great choice. Big Rachel Dawes energy. I just want to tell you, I choose you because I want to. Incredible. Rachel. Oh, great. Also, incredible. That must be the quickest burning gasoline in the world to only burn and then disappear. No, doesn't burn the suit. Burn the suit, but it doesn't catch up. Love Downey. Rachel. You put all your luck. You put something like that in luck, and you do something on that based on luck. Never, or whatever he says. I'm the Batman. Great film, The Dark Knight. People don't say that enough. How good The Dark Knight is. But we will get to the sudden death of Irene next week because fully great. Love it.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. The opening. I like the opening.
Yes.
Bringing us into this world of Sherlock. Because for as much as it does have action, I think it's a really nice balance. I do think for as much as we do get a load of action, we don't lose any of the intellectuality or whatever, any of Sherlock's intelligence, his wit. He's not some meathead or anything. It's not Stallone.
I think they almost do that by almost his zaniness, whereas we've seen portrayals of him as a very calm, collected man that's very, very intelligent. It's very slow. I think the fact that he's you can see him almost like this is him playing maybe the Doctor, or all these ideas bursting out of his head. Such intelligence. I think it's a very good way to play Sherlock.
And for as much as because this is the thing, that was my big thing when Sherlock became so big. I didn't like how people sort of forgot these movies. I think these are two really great movies, and infinitely more rewatchable and infinitely better than the Sherlock. I mean, I know you stopped at season 1, but as that goes on, it gets intolerable. It really does. Whereas this is just the stakes are there, and I'm getting excited about Game of Shadows now because I'm thinking about when they're trying to figure out the guy and they're playing the chess. Oh, it's very good.
What a scene!
And I think Game of Shadows really gets more so to the game and the wit and the intelligence. Yeah. Whereas this is, in many ways, an action film. For instance, the boat and all that.
It's based on Sherlock's opponents. Like you've got. I mean, I'm not saying Lord Blackwood isn't intelligent, but he's more of a physical threat, whereas Moriarty is a mental threat. Yeah.
And Mark Strong we'll get to just excellent in stuff.
This is Strong to Nash.
Love Mark Strong in this. Love Mark Strong in everything.
Yes.
I also have the dinner. I very much enjoy Meeting Mary.
I've got that in a minute. I've crammed it.
It's probably a minute. Love Meeting Mary and the back and forth. However, you were off on the Rachel McAdams performance this year. This time, I was a bit off on Kelly Riley this watch. I don't know. Her Mary felt snide and everything felt false. Like when he comes to see him as a doctor and he's dressed like Freud, and it's like, solve it, do it. And it just felt a bit forced and hammy. But that gets better in the second film. No, that's best 10-minute stretch. And just great finale. However, I'm going to talk about one of the changes now. Far too much CGI. I think the CGI has aged quite well, but it just really... This is my biggest problem with all the Marvel movies. Obviously, the stakes are there, but Endgame and all that, I just turn off. I just turn off because I'm just watching alien after alien after alien and just so much shit on the screen. I do not like the final thing with all the it's falling through the chains and it's like the big things are all the planks and everything. Just give me a real fight. Adding so much to it just reduces it in so many ways. It becomes so big that it becomes meaningless. What's your relationship with CGI?
Yeah. I think it's most noticeable with Tower Bridge. I'd argue that as a production design itself, I think it's beautiful. I think the attention to detail in it, like every single room, like even the wallpaper.
Yeah,
I think it's very well done. Like where the physical set comes in. So I think it gets away with it. You don't Sherlock Holmes, terrible CGI movie. I think it gets away with it.
For me, it's the usage. I'm not saying the CGI is terrible. Yeah. I think it's aged very well. I think it's the usage of it, like the big boats, and I enjoy the boat scene. But then when they're like dodging the anchor and it's perfectly balancing, it just feels a bit much. Tom's weirdly specific favorite parts of the film. Love the opening credits. Love the cobblestone logos.
Yes.
Very, very nice. And again, very nice. Love the poisoned, Nanny. Poisoned. Take Watson, for instance. I plan to. Very nice. I love the...
Take me, for example. Gladly.
Flies in the jar. Love just tap, 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 tap. My favorite part is when he goes, right. Love, and on the third day, and very, very funny. Love his fanny pack of items. Very much. Love the electrical shocks. Very just great guy. Great physical. Love all that. Love the opening the door and he's trying to get in and then Irene just opens it. The saw on the hat is very satisfying, very thrilling and very exciting, but just very satisfying cut and flip. And then I love Clark getting him to run away in the explosion, and I love this muffled ears, and it's you've got to go. They're my specific favourite parts. Will, your more general or your more specific favourite parts?
I like the invisible sword moment. I think that's very good.
Yeah.
I was like, stop there. That's very cool.
I
I like at the end of the dinner stretch what you were about. I like it when he just carries
Continues
on eating.
eating.
I think, I love. He acts that so well. He's great. I like it. I think it's very funny when he's handcuffed to the bed. That's a funny scene.
And I love the Irene's put him in this. You've got to believe me. The key is under this pillow. I just love that she's put him in this impossible situation.
And I really like James Fox in this.
I always love James Fox. Are you a big Remains of the Day fan?
I'm tell you what, I'm a big Charlie and the Chocolate Factory fan.
Oh, right, okay. So not the movie that he actually got awards. It Remains of the Day, beautiful film. But yes, I also like. Is he Lawrence Fox's dad?
Yes. Oh no, I think it's his uncle.
Oh, so he's like the bad nephew. Do you remember when was it Silk? Was the show Silk? Like the big Lawrence Fox show, where he was like a lawyer. I remember my mum was like, "Oh, he's the best man in the world."
Every time I think of it, I just remember his music career, which is dire. I think he was singing on This Morning or the one show. I'm going to try and find it.
It was one of them. And then Whitechapel was good. But I liked Whitechapel. Very scary as a kid. Bit of Pemberton, bit of Steve. Is that it for general? Here we go.
Do you watch Lawrence Fox sing?
Wow. Sorry. Is he? Sorry. What's the vibe there? I'm gonna go for spoken word shit. Wow. Speaking of incredible music, let's move on to such. Here he's getting his Hans Zimmer book out.
I'm getting my Hans
He's getting his Zimmer. He's getting his Zimmer out. That's not a euphemism. And it is true, Will, that you only will make love to Hans Zimmer music. Love. Well, I mean, actually, I said that as a joke, but also, no song gets me more pumped, not necessarily sexually, than the Dark Knight. Dun, 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 dun. Anytime that drops in the movie, you've just got me for 15 minutes. Is this your favorite Zimmer score?
I mean, it's definitely up there. It's bloody good. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, that Game of Shadows, when you get the more industrial feel to it, is also.
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah. I think it's stunning. I do enjoy Prince of Egypt.
Will you believe? Yeah.
What else? And of course, was it Lion King makes me cry every time.
Gladiator's great.
Pirates of the Caribbean, iconic.
Yeah, he's a pirate. Very good. This sort of bleeds into Oscar travesty. Well, I'm going to give you the nominations for Best Original Score. Sherlock Holmes, Hans Zimmer, because this is actually a pretty stacked category. I don't think we can remove Hurt Locker. That's why. Do you remember the Avatar score by James Horner?
Not off by heart.
It's very nice. However, this is your big three. Sherlock Holmes, Alexandre Desplat for Fantastic Mr. Fox, and Up by Michael Giacchino, which won.
Watched Up last night.
Did you stop after the first 10 minutes? The best way to watch Up?
I like Captain Von Trapp.
Well, I mean, who doesn't? Rest in peace. We love you, Chris. What are you voting for there? Did they pick the right with Up?
I think they did go right with Up. I think, yeah, it is a sublime, very simplistic but beautiful score. And yeah, it's just a shame. I mean, it's a shame when lots of good movies come out in the same year, but that's the excitement of award season.
That's it.
It's just a shame we haven't had that excitement
Again.
A good, well, I don't know. I've not enjoyed.
Oh, 2019 was excellent.
Was it what came out in
Parasite, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Irishman, Marriage Story. That was a great.
That was the last award season I was excited for, apart from the Brits the other day, which I enjoyed very much. Yeah, they were good.
I nearly coughed. Will's favourite building on set. We sort of touched on the set design and your enjoyment of it, the detail. Is there any particular?
I like any streetscape when they're in like a narrow street, shall we say, and they're just walking down, because I think if I can incorporate costume design, etc., I think the atmosphere is 100%, and it's very good. That's what I really enjoy about these films. It's the atmosphere.
That's one of the big successes I feel of the Sweeney Todd film is the building of that Victorian. It's because also that brings into your head the overpopulation thing that obviously Sweeney is trying to deal with for his own nefarious deeds.
Sweeney was the original Thanos.
Sweeney Todd, Thanos. What's the difference? Which takes us to best single minute. Here's a couple. I really enjoyed the carriage to Lord Blackwood in the grave. Great bit of Watson and Holmes, just getting that banter. Very nice. I enjoy the jail, although it's one of my biggest changes with Lord Blackwood. Just them just sparring off and giving you some great villainous dialogue. I very much enjoy. And I've got put here the Order fire. Oh, the meeting of the Order and the American man setting on fire. Very much enjoy. Although that will also appear in my big change.
I imagine it will. I think I know what you're about.
Will, your best single minute?
I've gone for the boxing. I think that's very good.
Very good, yeah.
That's sort of the iconic moment when we're first really introduced to this style of slow motion calculating. I think it's very good.
Population recovery 3 weeks.
I love the bit where he's confronting Kit Harrison with the smoke in the room, and he's doing all of that, and you realise, the whole time police was in on it. It's very cool.
But the police weren't on it. Lestrade played his role perfectly.
And the magic circle, when he makes his magic circle and he does all of that, I think that's very enjoyable.
One of my, I'm glad that we get Irene for the final half an hour, just for the moment where he goes, "I knew you'd stay," and then there's great acting from Rachel. Just great moment, very nice. Which takes us on to best line. Some great Sherlock Holmesian wit here. Why are you always so suspicious? Should I answer chronologically or alphabetically? You have the grand gift of silence, Watson. It makes you quite invaluable as a companion. Well,
I've never woken up in handcuffs before. I have.
In another life, you would have been an excellent criminal. Yes, and you, sir, an excellent policeman. It's a matter of professional integrity. No girl wants to marry a doctor who can't tell if a man's dead or not. That's probably my favorite.
I like. Sorry. I like when he's fighting the Frenchman and he's been tossed across the room. He's like, "Un moment, s'il vous plaît." Je ne suis pas.
Oh,
yeah.
Speak French too.
Gracias. You speak very good French. Yes.
You'll miss me, Sherlock. Sadly, yes. Very nice. And my final one would be when he's talking to Clark. Have the newspapers got wind of it? Well, that's what we're trying to avoid, sir. Certainly. What's the major concern? Panic. Sheer bloody panic, sir. And then a bit of a cheap payoff in when Moriarty's reading his newspaper and it says panic. Come on. I mean, there would be panic. That would be the headline. So I guess I'm wrong. Will, any other favourite lines?
I don't know what the line was, but when they're in the carriage in the opening and there's the policeman and he makes some sort of joke as my wife likes that actually, and then no, I'm just joking, sir. I think that's all very
the chambermaid.
Yeah, that's it.
I remember chambermaids being rather quite liberal. I was chambermaid, sir.
Yeah.
Joking about the chambermaid. Have you seen Without a Clue, Will?
No.
I literally think it would be your new favourite film. It's Ben Kingsley and Michael Caine.
Oh.
And Ben Kingsley's Watson and Sherlock and Michael Caine is Holmes. And basically, it's a comedy. And the setup is that Watson's the real detective and he doesn't like the limelight. So he hires an actor to be this Sherlock Holmes character. And he like tells him to do this. And then obviously Caine's a big drunk and very, very funny film. Very funny. It's basically like if they made a whole film about Hugh Jackman's drunk actor version of
In
him
The
in The Prestige. Which may be the best film, The Prestige. Which we will have just talked about. Well, oh no, we will talk about it after Game of Shadows. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
I like The Prestige.
Anything left from your notes, Rob?
That's it from me.
And I only talked about the chambermaid. Let's get negative. What's the change? For me, Game of Shadows has a sort of perfect plot, perfect mystery, builds on one another excellently. Everything's great. The fucking magic in this annoys me to shit. And I remember being the world's most boring 9-year-old. I watched this on my birthday. This was one of my birthday films. And I was, even as a kid, I was like, it didn't make sense. How could he do that? The big thing is the two scares where he like comes at the holes in the wall and the jail and all that. And there's a and he's really quick. Completely impossible especially the scare at the wall when they then shoot all those bullets. There's no way he's getting out of there. I don't know. It's always annoyed me. Am I alone in this, Will, or is this your?
I don't mind it that much. I'm a big magic fan.
But it's not magic. That's the point. I like magic too. I don't like the dog farting when he's with Irene. It's just a bit cheap. Just a matter of pacing and tone and pacing. It's an hour and 10 into the film when they start killing off the people in the order. And then it's like bang, 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 bang. For me, that just feels like a whole new mystery all of a sudden. It feels like they should be spread out.
This is in my notes. This is my big change. I think pacing, although I think it's in different ways, it's very well paced. I do think as a plot, it's got issues. Maybe you even need to kill one of the orders in the opening as to establish what's going to happen. But obviously you've got that other fantastic opening instead. Maybe one of them goes to visit him in prison, something like that. Instead of the guards getting all crazy, maybe it's a member of the order instead. I mean, like, especially as you compare it to Game of Shadows. I mean, we get taken to loads of different countries. It's really we get that great train fight. It feels
opera. I love an opera.
The opera. It feels so. It's got so much momentum, and
yes.
Whereas I think it feels very London centric, very slow, working it out. Oh, we'll show you a few, and then we'll get to the big climax.
And also, in a weird sense, I think Game of Shadows is better paced because it gives us moments to relax.
Yeah.
Whereas this is sort of straight through. Whereas like the Stephen Fry funny stuff in Game of Shadows sort of gives us time. The wedding, it sort of gives us time to just sit back and relax. I mean, it's basically the Terminator 2 formula that every modern blockbuster has followed now for years.
Which is one of the greatest CGI movies still to this day.
Incredible. Look, I could talk about Terminator 2 any day of the week. We talked about Mary's performance. The murder of Standish. I mean, Jesus Christ. Did you think it was rain? What the hell? They're just spraying gasoline. It's not the Truman Show. He would notice if there was a single spray of rain. It's a load of bullshit. I mean, let's be honest. Great kill, great scene. And then the minute you think about it,
I think what's your favourite death? I like the bath. I think the bath is very well done.
Bath's great because the bath makes sense.
Yeah.
As much as it does. But also it does feel a bit cheap on the mystery. Like the whole it's just Sherlock picking up different things in the midget's study, and he's just like, oh, the frog, I remember that. Oh, the leaf, I remember that. And licking the limestone and everything. There's no build to the mystery. It's just Sherlock noting all of these things and then saying it later.
Yeah.
And I know that that's the conceit of the Sherlock Holmes mysteries. That's the conceit of Marple. That's the conceit of all of those. But it leads to this lack of pacing that we're talking about. They're my changes. Anything else, Will?
No, that's it from me.
Well, that takes us to a few fun facts. Robert Melee, who played Dredger, accidentally knocked out Robert Downey Jr. while filming a fight scene. Not ideal. Attempting to escape the clutches of wearing a tight corset every morning, Rachel McAdams would trick the costumers by pushing her stomach out or eating a big breakfast of oatmeal before being laced up. However, they eventually caught onto her ruse. What's a better fun fact about Rachel McAdams? That, or when we found out on Wedding Crashers that she used to listen to Landslide in the corner and cry.
Oh, she's great. She's great.
Sienna Miller was in talks for a role before her ex-fiance Jude Law was cast as Watson. Presumably Irene.
I would say.
I like Sienna Miller. How do you feel about this? Colin Farrell in talks to play Watson.
Colin Farrell would be a great Lord Blackwood.
Oh yeah, would be a great Grindelwald. Well, no, he was Grindelwald, wasn't he? And then it was Johnny Depp. I fell asleep halfway through Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and I woke up and it was Johnny Depp, and I had no idea what was happening.
He could have got out of that phone booth, but great film, Phone Booth. I love Phone Booth.
Love Phone Booth, yeah. Great Joel Schumacher. Joel Schumacher, one of the craziest careers ever. Lost Boys, St. Elmo's Fire, then two terrible Batmans, then 8mm and Phone Booth, two really weird 90s thrillers. The Phantom of the Opera movie, Flawless, where Philip Seymour Hoffman plays a drag queen and Robert De Niro's a homophobe who's had a stroke, and they have a Rain Man relationship where they make each other better and less homophobic and everything. More Green Book than Rain Man. Tom Cruise doesn't make Raymond less severely autistic. Sam Worthington was considered for the role of Watson. Do you remember when Sam Worthington was a thing, Will?
No.
He was the guy who was in Avatar, Clash of the Titans, Terminator Salvation, all in 1 year. And I remember the Empire article being Sam Worthington, the star of tomorrow. And nothing for Sam Worthington. Talked about this. Early rumours had Brad Pitt, but were quickly denied. And we talked about how they've dubbed over Harris. Are you ready for some taglines, Will?
Yeah.
Lots here are just Robert Downey Jr. is Holmes. Nothing escapes him. Crime will pay. Dangerously alluring. Depraved adversary. I mean, what are these? What are these Tinder quotes? And this is the one you're going to enjoy. So I mentioned that this was a movie I watched on my birthday, which is January. So one of the taglines was "Holmes for the holiday," which I think we can all agree is certainly the best tagline there. Which takes us to Tom's big question. Yes, I am right. Tom's big question. Is this the best Sherlock performance?
What, considering number 2 as well?
Yeah.
Yes, Downey Jr. is my favourite Sherlock.
Or at least our favourite. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
comparing Rathbone and this is like chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
But I think it's better than
I think-
Cumberbatch.
Yeah, Cumberbatch is excellent.
Very good, yeah.
But I do think Downey nails it on. He gets every single character trait spot on.
People like to say, like, oh, but Benedict Cumberbatch is so annoying as Sherlock. And then they like to say, well, the character's supposed to be annoying. Can you imagine being that clever and all that? Whereas Downey Jr. does all of that and is annoying and is frustrating, but is also charming and is also, you understand. There's never a point, like sometimes with Cumberbatch, and they play that into the show, but there are points where you're like, why the fuck is Watson still around? Who would be with this person this long? Whereas obviously with this, you're like, yeah, all right, I can imagine having a drink with Sherlock. Which takes us to next one. So basically, Moriarty is like, oh yeah, Irene, yeah, you needed to find this midget and you needed to do this work for me and you needed to get Sherlock interested in me. What? Why is this professor, this criminal mastermind, hiring this random fling of Sherlock to do these things? And then why is it so, you're in my employ? It's not just like a one-off job. He's employed her. To do what?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either. It just struck me this time. He falls through all of those chains and it makes the perfect noose. Don't know about that.
I think it's poetic.
Like the ravens, like the crows. Also, so Lestrade is like the older. He was going against the older. Very much like James Marsden in this. Very, very good. Anyway, but it's like
Eddie
Marsden, not James Marsden. How do you know? Cool biscuit in town. Love James Marsden. No,
I've been dreaming of a true love's kiss.
Love Enchanted. We're getting that again, aren't we?
We sure are, and I'm very excited.
Amy Adams. Maybe that's her Oscar. I would not be angry in the slightest if they finally gave Amy Adams her Oscar for Disenchanted. That would not annoy me at all. Lestrade's like, at the older. This Lord Coward's not like, you weren't at any meetings, you know. Who are you sure you're part of the order? Just because you punched him?
I think it works because it just fuels his ego, really, doesn't it?
The older.
And also, I didn't know I had influence over the police. That's good. I wouldn't. Yeah, if I was Kit Harrison.
Why do you keep saying this man's full name? Is he in another show?
He is Game of Thrones.
Ah, right.
I believe.
No, that's Kit Harington.
That's what I meant. I keep saying Harrison.
You keep saying Kit Harrison, and also it's not him.
Is it not?
This entire time, I was thinking like, who the hell is Kit Harrison?
I thought Kit Harrington was in this.
No, this
Who is
it? Hans Matheson, who was born in 1975. He was in Jericho. He was also in Class of the Town. Oh, he was in the Test of the D'Urbervilles with Gemma Arterton and Eddie Redmayne. No, Hans Matheson plays Lord Coward. Imagine having that name. Kit Harington is an entirely different person. I saw him actually live. It was very good in True West. It was very good. Great Sam Shepard play. And the guy Johnny Flynn was also in it, who like had a big career last year. He was like in Emma. I thought he was very good. And he was in that movie Beast, and he was in The War and the Peace. But at that time, they were still rerunning his Cineworld. Cineworld. But a quick debrief and a bite. I always thought it was odd in those Cineworld adverts. Which brings us to the end of Sherlock, but doesn't bring us to the end of Sherlock, because we're back next week with the superior, very exciting sequel. Will, any final thoughts on Sherlock Holmes 2009?
Excellent film. Watch it if you haven't. you will enjoy it. I don't know a person that doesn't enjoy these films.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, yeah. No, I completely agree. Very enjoyable, and not a big fan of how. I won't say they've been lost to time. That's a bit dramatic, but they've sort of a bit been lost in the shuffle. I don't much care for that, I have to say. That is Sherlock Holmes Elementary, my dear Leggetter.